Let's preview the Week 10 game against the Eagles. This is Sunday, 1 p.m. start time. The Eagles had a bye week last week, which I didn't even realize until this week. That's how out of it I was. So relaxed from my birthday weekend, but that means they got a lot of people to recover and get healthy, and they have a lot of people coming back. If you look at their injury report now, I think the only player listed as a limited practice yesterday was Lane Johnson, the offensive tackle. So looks like Alshon Jeffrey is going to be back. A lot of other players are going to be back in the mix. Jeffrey's back. Craig James should be back. Miles Sanders might be back. Jack Driscoll, Lane Johnson. So they're going to be just about as close to healthy as they've been all year. So, and like I said, it would have been nice to have Freeman, Shep, and Tate, not as banged up coming into it, but you got to roll with what you got. But the Eagles have come on pretty strong. They're obviously in first, 3-4-1. They almost came back on the Ravens, had a 1-point win over us. They beat Ben DiNucci on Sunday Night Football, and then they had the bye week. So they're gonna be pretty much fully operational. Last 5 matchups have been just really tough for Giants fans. We're 0-5, and we've lost 3 of those 5 by 6 points or less. So Philly leads the all-time series 89-86-2. They are 1-2 on the road, so they're not that great on the road. Maybe that's going to work on our favor. They score more points per game than us. They allow more points per game than us, and they have a -7 takeaway differential while we have a 0. So we're like pretty much league average, and they're like towards the bottom of the pack. So if we can carry over the ability to take away the ball like we did in the Washington game, if we can get another 5 takeaways, you can probably chalk up a win. But it is the Eagles, and it is Philadelphia. Rushing yards per game, we're pretty much on par with them. We're not that far off. Defensive passing yards allowed per game. Their secondary, as much as people want to shit on them, 4th in the league in terms of defensive passing yards per game. Meanwhile, we're 25th, and that's just because we give up huge chunk plays at the worst possible times. Defensive rushing yards per game, the Eagles are actually near the bottom of the league, whereas the Giants are a borderline top 5 unit. So Caden Smith had a concussion against Washington, but it appears that he's practicing and might be able to play this week. I don't know if we should rush him back, but it would be cool to have him in the mix. I mentioned Freeman, Shep, and Tate having injuries that might prevent them from going. Xavier McKinney is eligible to be designated to return from IR, but we'll probably wait an additional week or 2. And O'Shane Zimmon is kind of the lost man in all this, is also eligible to return, and they could return to the field Friday. But more likely the judge holds them out until the team returns from their bye week on or around November 25th, which, is smart. As much as you want all your able bodies as possible against Philly, because it's a huge division game and you really, really need the win. You don't want to sacrifice players that you'll ultimately need down the stretch if you really want to make a push for the title. NFC East title, that is. Giants offense, 10th in rushing yards per attempt. The Eagles are 6th. Net yards per pass attempt, we're 30th. Philly's 31st. Yeah, so not a lot of completions down the field for either team. We're tied for the second most sacks allowed, whereas Philly's first, so it should be a sack fest, 2K20. We have the 7th best average starting field position, and that's a testament to Joe Judge and his work on special teams, getting his kickoff return unit and punt returns units towards the top of the league to give the offense a fighting chance and a good shot at scoring opportunities. Of course, the offense typically squanders them. Jones is tied for the most red zone interceptions. And you might say, that's a major reason why we need to move on from Danny Dimes. But guess who he's tied with for most red zone interceptions? Dangerous. Russell Wilson. So, let's just slowly roll. Wentz is a lot better inside the 10 than he is inside the 20. He's also a threat to run for the score. So when the Eagles get in the red zone, you got to have someone on Wentz. Have to. Is that going to be Tate Crowder? Is it going to be Jabril Peppers? We'll have to see. Travis Fulgham, and Greg Ward are the receivers that we need to watch in the red zone. Even though Jeffrey's back, I don't know that he's going to be where he was when he was playing. And the Philadelphia rushing offense is tied for the 2nd most fumbles in the league. So we're going to be hacking and a punching and a whacking at that pig skin. So I predict a couple picks, maybe a couple of fumbles. We're looking at 3 or 4 turnovers in our favor. Can we turn all those turnovers into points? We better if we want a chance to come out on top. Giants defense is 11th in turnover percentage, but 9th in terms of percentage of drives ending in a score. And again, that goes back to us like not giving up touchdowns, but field goals, which most field goals are considered a win. So I don't mind that so much. Eagles are the second most penalized defensive unit in the league. So you're going to see turnovers. You're going to see a lot of flags in our favor. Now, can we take advantage of it? Can we minimize our turnovers and can we minimize our penalties? If we can do that and let the Eagles do what they do, we're in a good spot. Eagles are tied for the third fewest. Philadelphia is 6th in pressure percentage, third most sacks, third highest sack percentage. Giants are tied for 7th in sacks, 6th in knockdown percentage, 4th highest knockdowns. Neither defense blitzes a lot, but we've seen that opposing DCs will dial up plenty of blitzes for Daniel, knowing that he is not best at making decisions under pressure. Giants defense has allowed the second most yards after catch, the third most air yards, the fourth most passing yards, and the 4th highest completion percentage. So yeah, whoever is playing on the opposite side of Bradbury, that's how it's going to go. They're going to get targeted up and down the field. Philadelphia has the third most tackles for loss. Giants are the second most passes defended, thanks to James Bradbury. But also Dalvin Tomlinson getting his hand up at the line of scrimmage. I think that's been huge as well. It just takes away any chance of a completion. So good on you, Dalvin Tomlinson. Let's see if some of the other linemen can follow suit. We give up the fifth least rushing yards per game, second highest average time per drive. Philadelphia has the lowest time per drive and also the second lowest yards per drive. So this Philly defense is sneaky good. I know they're not the top in most major categories, but they still, they're not allowing 10, 11, 12 play drives for touchdowns or field goals. They're just not. Rarely. I will say this, Philadelphia's defense is tied for the 4th most fantasy points per game to tight ends. So Evan Engram, knock, motherfucker. That's opportunity at your door. You want to redeem yourself for the drop against them a couple weeks ago. You need to catch every single ball in your vicinity that is catchable in this game. If you have 10 targets, you need 10 catches. And I don't care if that 10 catches goes for 80 yards. It's just, we need to see you catch the ball and draw coverage. Because right now, I think a lot of teams are like, we're not going to get hurt by Evan Engram most of the time because we're not supremely confident that he's going to actually catch the ball. So I'd like to see Evan Engram have himself a day and really get back in the good graces of the Giants fan base. The Giants defense, on the other hand, is allowing the 10th most points per game to wide receivers. So again, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, maybe even Alshon Jeffrey, whoever's not named James Bradbury and is covering them is going to have a tough day. I'll just say that. So yeah, that's the Eagles preview. Again, I think it's going to be another close game. I think it's going to be determined by a score or 7 points or less, 8 points or less. I really think it would have been so nice to have the stadium full of fans for this one. This is one of the games that's like, it feels almost like, and I know it's crazy to say because we're 2-7, but a playoff atmosphere. Win, and we've got a pretty good feeling about ourselves heading down the stretch. Lose, and it's, we're basically eliminated. So would have been sweet to have 80,000, shouting their faces off, because I don't think that this team has really experienced that yet. And I think this young team would respond in kind positively to that. Instead, it's an empty stadium and we have to do with, artificial crowd noise. And is that going to work in Philadelphia's favor? Because Philadelphia actually had fans in the stand when we played them in Philly. I don't know. But I think a lot of people are starting to believe in the Giants. I've been believing in them ever since. I think that the Bucs game was huge. That kind of cemented my belief in them. I lost almost all hope after that 49ers blowout. And then they came back and they kept chipping away. And then like 3 or 4 games where they basically had the W in their hands and just couldn't finish. So I think if they get this win, I think it's going to just be a catapult for them. Huge momentum boost, huge ego boost, confidence boost. And I think when you get these players back, like McKinney, like what do you do when McKinney comes back and we're in the hunt? Does Logan Ryan move to corner? He likes being a safety. He thinks he's one of the best safeties in football. Does Julian Love get moved to a corner position? Does Darnay Holmes get the shot at the CB2? How does Peppers fit in? Is Peppers just an extra linebacker? I don't know, but I'm very, very aroused. So that's the Giants.